Hey guys, what's up? Primal here, and not another reaction video this time. Oh no. Today, this time, for sure, this is going to be my 400 subscriber special. I know I've said it before in my most recent previous videos, but this time I've got to say it officially. Thank you all so much for getting me this far, despite my lack of content and what I've been going through these past couple of months. And again, I do apologize, but I'm getting back into the swing of things, and I think by the time all the new gaming stuff comes out in the fall, my amount of content, or at least the rate of it, at least, should be back to normal, hopefully. But right now, I've got a few special projects I wanted to get out of the way before summer ends. And I have been, getting back into my PS4, but, I haven't really been doing much recording because I've just been taking the time to, prepare for the upcoming Monster Hunter DLC, and after that, I think I'm gonna try and prepare for Doom Eternal by finishing its series, and I still gotta finish The Last of Us, and of course Devil May Cry 2, as well as all the character towers in Mortal Kombat 11, especially now that Nightwolf's out. Well, sort of. I think he's coming out this week, to be honest, officially on the 13th, which is actually going to be my birthday in a couple days. But yeah, like I said, I've been putting all my gaming efforts into Monster Hunter, trying to get my hunter rank up and find some items, and yeah. But like I said, this and a few other special projects are probably going to be I'm my next couple of things, as well as the new Crypt TV series for this month. I've already seen stuff on it on Instagram, but something tells me it's probably not gonna equal up to the previous one, which was Water's Edge, which is probably the best one they've done this summer. But back to this. So, I'm guessing many of y'all have been wondering what this subscriber special is going to be. Well, it's going to be another top 10 list, and it's probably going to be my first big one with my voice, lots of edited clips. So, well, I guess I'm not entirely sure how many of you could tell, but I am a major dragon lover, which is why I named my channel Primal Dragon 1740. I chose the front title Primal because I felt it was kind of strong and original, so that's why I went with that. Can't get into too many details about the 17 and 40, but yeah, I completely centered it around dragons because I am a huge dragon lover, and that's why today's list is going to be my top 10 dragons in video games. To be honest, I've been wanting to do this for a very long time. In fact, ever since I got my channel up and running. So, this list will contain... should probably have turned off my YouTube, not subscriptions, my notifications. I should probably have turned them off because it's kind of interrupting me while I'm doing this. My phone. Many of you might see lots of beloved favorites, but I also decided to try and make mine as original as possible. Note that some of these clips were from other YouTubers. I do not own any. I own some of these clips, but not all of them. No copyright intended. All of the... I will leave a fully detailed description of where I got all this in my outro credits and all that. So, yeah, just make sure to watch to the end. And like I said, no copyright intended. I'm probably also going to include music for this, so yeah, it's not monetized. In fact, I'm not even within the right range of subscribers to actually start doing monetized content, and yeah. So, with that said now out of the way, let's get right into it, shall we? So, for my first entry, I figured I'd probably, how am I gonna say this? Okay, y'all, so to start off our list, I decided to try and do something Final Fantasy-wise. And while it's not a series completely renowned for dragons, it does have a few memorable characters that I could consider for this list. And while many would probably choose Bahamut, who is one of the most famous summons throughout the entire franchise, I decided to try and go with something more original and aim for the Dragon Lord, Shinryu. Shinryu is one of 3 characters who come from the Dimensional Rift, which in a way is like some sort of time travel tunnel that spans the whole franchise, the other 2 being Omega and Gilgamesh. And from what I read about him, Omega was designed to try and kill him, but there's really not much I can say. In my personal opinion, he's probably one of the coolest looking dragons I've ever seen, and he's probably one of the most powerful characters, as well as a boss, to be honest. I think his most significant entry would probably be Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, he's also appeared as the final boss in the Dissidia games as well, but like I said, not entirely much I can go into there. You know, back in the day of the medieval ages, dragons used to be a major headache for all the kingdoms. Just imagine you're in the midst of doing whatever your old medieval business was, and one of these big pricks show up. Especially since one of these big pricks could happen to have the title of the World Eater. That's right, people. Alduin is my number 9 on this list. Alduin is the primary antagonist of Elder Scrolls Skyrim and the arch-nemesis of the Dragonborn, the main character.
You do not even know our tongue, do you? Such arrogance, to dare take for yourself the name of Nova.
Armed with sheer force, talons, fire, frost, and what I believe to be necromancy, Alduin is feared by many, and for good reason at that. He is said to have ruled humans in a time where dragons were worshipped, and he did so with an iron fist. Alduin's first priest taught the shouts to the humans in order for them to rise up and rebel. Because of Alduin's actions against his true role as the World Eater, which is to create a new world by destroying the old one, this ultimately led to the Dragon War, and the Dragonborn's role in being the one to defeat him. Just a heads up, I've never personally played Skyrim, so I had to try and look into his lore a little bit to understand what he actually was all about, so hopefully this is accurate for y'all. Number 8, Zekrom, Pokemon Black and White. Okay, now that we've gotten the whole cool intro out of the way, many of y'all would probably choose either Charizard or Rayquaza for their list, but my personal favorite Pokemon, Legendary and Dragon type, would be Zekrom. He may not be a fire dragon, which is kind of my personal preference, but he's just really cool looking. Like his Yin counterpart Reshiram, Zekrom is a legendary dragon based in the Unova region. According to a quote from Professor Juniper in the anime, his lightning is said to be pillars holding up the sky. According to ancient legend, Reshiram and Zekrom both originated when 2 heroes who shared a legendary dragon Pokemon split off because one believed in truth and the other ideals. Though I never really knew which was which for sure until I played the sequels to Pokemon Black and White, looking into Pokédex entries and listened to N's conversation. Ever since the early days of animation, dragons have always had a classic place in people's hearts, and my boy Grim Matchstick here is just a perfect representation of that. In fact, he's only one of 2 rotoscope animated dragons in video games, the other being Singe from Dragon Slayer. But Grim brings a whole lot more to the table. Being from a Souls series difficulty game called Cuphead, known for its difficult boss fights, as well as its old school cartoon animation, this classic fire breather revives his representation with his visual style, wacky cartoon animations that we all adored way back when, and a reference to King Ghidorah to boot. He's tons of fun to go up against in Cuphead, but sadly that doesn't alleviate his difficulty. Imagine yourself being alone in the dark. Probably just you and a couple others. When suddenly, it strikes. Next thing you know, you're the only one left. Until the beast rears its ugly head. You all know what's coming. Cementing his placement in my number 6 top 10 dragons, I give you That's right, y'all. Ridley, captain of the space pirates, arch-nemesis of Samus Aran, and murderer of her parents. Well, for me, it's always been kind of hard to imagine a guy who doesn't even talk, let alone use any weapons, to be captain of a space pirate league. But that's just my personal opinion. Despite that and the fact that he doesn't really look anything like a traditional dragon, or the fact that he's hardly been a final boss in any of the Metroid games despite being Samus' arch-nemesis, he has been a recurring nightmare for the young bounty hunter like many other Nintendo villains. But if I'm not mistaken, he's been killed many times. I just keep wondering how he keeps coming back. It probably has something to do with the fact that he's used cybernetic enhancements to become Meta Ridley or some other robotic version of himself. Aside from lobotomization, Ridley is a tightly sealed, dangerous package armed to the teeth with a bladed tail, fire breath, relentless ruthlessness, you name it. But that just means you're in for one heck of a thrilling fight when you're up against him. And I guarantee you, none of those fights disappoint one bit. And no matter how many times he keeps coming back, Samus has always proven more than a match for him. I mean, it's like he's using the same strategy for chess over and over again. Have you ever wondered what's at the bottom of Earth's oceans? Well, you wouldn't be the first to have this thought, actually. And while we can't get any direct answers ourselves, video games have allowed us to imagine freely what could be lurking in the deep. And out of all those things that people have come up with, the Sea Dragon Leviathan really takes the cake for me. Located deep underground, in a heated air pocket right on the edge of a volcanic crater, top of the food chain in Unknown World's greatest creation. Probably only great creation for all I know. These Pacific Rim kaiju-looking super predators are one of the rarest and greatest sights to behold while exploring the seas of planet 4546b. They may seem cool, calm, and collected when you first encounter them, but they are still extremely dangerous. The roar of these mighty beasts can be heard for miles underwater, and they are extremely territorial, not to mention the fact that they have the ability to eat molten ore and spew it out like watermelon seeds, in a way giving it the ability to breathe fire. While other traces of their eating habits have not been seen aside from smaller leviathans, they're pretty much known to eat anything and everything. Also, according to the records of the aliens that were on planet 4546b, one was known to be the spread of a nasty bacteria called the Kara, which if allowed to grow out of control, could cause a planet-wide extinction. But all lore aside, they're still some of the coolest dragons I've ever seen, to be honest. You know, God of War is the last place I'd expect to see an actual dragon, to be honest. Of course it did have the Hydra, but I highly doubt it was part of the main species. And when they did give us an actual dragon in the next series installment in 2018 last year, they really knocked it out of the park with Horel's-Ear. You know, dragons in Norse mythology aren't really talked about all that often, to be honest. So it was really nice for them to bring them into the light a little bit when this game came out. During their journey up the mountain, Kratos and his son Atreus run into a dragon named Horel's-Ear, who had been living there for quite some time. And when reaching near the peak, they have to fight off the dragon to save their friend, Sindri. And boy, what a fight it is. It's nothing compared to what Kratos did in the original Hexology of God of War, but it's still awesome nonetheless. Between Horel's-Ear literally calling down thunder upon you, and Kratos pulling off his flashy epic takedowns, even though it's not, say, God of War 3 level stuff, it's still a fight to remember for the ages. There are 3 other dragons in this new installment in the God of War series, but sadly you don't get to fight them, you just, free them because they're chained up for some reason. I myself personally still would have preferred to see Kratos rip that dragon apart with his bare hands like he did with stuff in the old days of God of War. But he still managed to make this finisher look freaking cool with the help of his son Atreus using a crane. I'm just hoping in the next couple of installments the series ramps up to where Kratos is back to his old self, kicking butt like he used to. Over the many years, the Monster Hunter series has given us a plethora of really cool dragons to face. So many of them are my favorites that I could let them take over this list if I wanted to. From the graceful Sadeas, to the demonic Gogmazios, even the Angel of Death Gore Magala, which evolves into Shagru Magala. But the one that sticks out for me the most right now is Alatreon from Monster Hunter Tri. I had thoughts of putting either Vaal Hazak or maybe even Xeno'jiiva from Monster Hunter World on this list, but to me, I'd say Eladrian still takes the cake. This walking demonic arsenal of pain is one of the most powerful Elder Dragons there is in the Monster Hunter universe, with great command over the elements of fire, lightning, ice, and even its own personal dragon element. Heck, he can even mix and match to bring even more hurt. Although he's not the only dragon on this list to have such avatar-like abilities. As stated before, Eladrian is an Elder Dragon, and not just any Elder Dragon, a Black Dragon, one of 3, the other 2 being Fatalis and Dire Moralis. There are a lot of rumors speculating that Eladrian is supposed to come to the latest installment Monster Hunter World. If those rumors prove true, let's just say I can't wait to have my battle for the ages against it. But who knows? I think pretty soon the chaotic avatar of the elements will have to give up his spot to a new successor, Capcom's latest flagship creation, Velkhana. Like the Monster Hunter games, the Souls franchise is definitely one known for its epic dragon fights. So epic, like stated before, I could let them take over this list if I wanted to. But there's always that one that sticks out above the rest. And that one to me is Dark Ear Midir. According to the game's lore, Dark Ear Midir is an ancient descendant of Archdragon. He was tasked with combating the darkness by devouring it. He devoured so much that he became corrupted by it. When we find him in the Ring City DLC of Dark Souls 3, the setup to our epic clash and encounter with him is very similar to his predecessor Sin and Calamite in the previous games. We run into him early on before his actual fight, and we're probably gonna have to do something to make sure we can actually fight him. In Midir's case, we just knock him down a hole. Afterwards, we have to find the secret passage down to where he fell. And that's where the actual fight is, and boy what a glorious fight we have with him. Midir rampages all over the place with his giant body, wreaking havoc and pain with every single one of his attacks. The punishment he deals out is something he gets a lot of hate for, but I've never really found him as unfair as people describe him to be. In fact, I find him to be my favorite fight throughout the whole Souls series. He may have been difficult, but he was one of those fights that no matter how punishing he was, no matter how many times I lost, I enjoyed coming back to him because his fight is just everything that I look for in an epic dragon fight. He behaves so much like an actual fire-breathing dragon. His behavior, his attack patterns, everything. Oh, and his Shin Gojira breath is a really nice touch as well. And while I admit his difficulty may be debatable in some cases, you can't really deny that it helps you perform better to make fighting him and slaying him look frickin' cool as ice. And that is why he stands out above all the other dragons in Dark Souls, let alone be my number 2 spot of being a dragon in video games. But there's just one more video game dragon that stands out above all the rest in all of dragonkind in video games. But before we get to him, here are some honorable mentions. And now for my number 1 spot. Huh, where is he?
Sorry I took so long. Almost forgot about you guys.
That's cool. Anyway, that's right y'all. My number 1 spot for the best dragon in all of video games is without a doubt Spyro the Dragon. He may have had his ups and downs throughout the years, but no matter what, he's been kept alive and well by many game companies and developers. He may not be the biggest, or necessarily the strongest, but he is without a doubt the most iconic dragon out of all of them. With a spunky attitude and a heroic heart to boot, Spyro is always there to help those in need and save the day, toppling enemies 10 times his size.
I can't believe I was defeated by a pygmy pipsqueak so tiny I couldn't even see him with a microscope.
Okay, see, now you're just overacting. I
Oh, and fun fact, like my boy Elatrian, Spyro is able to command other elements outside of his own main fire breath. And with that, my top 10 dragons in video games list comes to an end. And all I can say is for the dragons who are on my list, well...
You never cease to amaze me.
And that's gonna be it for this one, guys. Do you agree with my list? Or are some of your favorite video game dragons? Well, either way, hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!